The 84th Masters has kicked off as of yesterday. Joining me today to break this down is Marty Wheaton from Wheaton Golf Services, as well as the Lloydminster Golf and Curling Club. Marty, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Evan.
Now, it's a little bit of a weird one this year as the 2020 Masters is being played in November. Usually it takes place in that March or April range. Now, Marty, do you think this affects the golfers very much?
I think it's playing differently for sure. Even the grass type and the conditions are much different than they're used to, but still the strategy of the golf course will come in play, and it is a very strategic golf course. You can see players from the young guns to guys like Bernard Longer, who's 63 years old, is still competing at this golf course.
Now, Marty, as well, yesterday at Augusta, there was quite a bit of rain. It actually delayed day one of the Masters. Now, I know that made fairways and greens very, very slow. How much do you think that affected the golfers?
It certainly did, and I think the players commented on it yesterday, but they also commented on how surprised they were it turned around and how dry the conditions were considering how much rainfall they had. And for the golf nerds, if you haven't heard of the system that Augusta National has, it's a sub-air system that actually sucks all the water out of the greens that's underneath the greens. And obviously a golf heaven at Augusta National, and they have the technology there to get the course back in a hurry.
Now, Marty, with that rain delay, it forced some players to not be able to finish their first rounds, and they did end up finishing those earlier this morning. Now, do you think that sort of changes how a golfer goes into it when you only, play 12 holes one day and then, a handful the next day?
I think for your average golfer, it would. For these players, they're so used to it, and they're such elite players that, if anything, I've seen guys that went out for their second 9 of the first round this morning and then right back out for their next 18. And if anything, it kind of allowed them to get in a rhythm for the day and make some more birdies out there.
Now, after day one, there was a couple obvious guys who were atop of that leaderboard, including, Dustin Johnson, a couple other names who, you kind of expect to be there. But then there were a few other guys, Paul Casey to be one name who was up there that people might not normally put at the top of those leaderboards. Did anybody surprise you in a happy way?
Tiger Woods for sure surprised me in a happy way. Just he came into the golf tournament with no form whatsoever. He's barely even played. So for him to go out there and shoot bogey free, 4 under, it just goes to show, anything that can happen at the Masters when you have the experience, you can kind of take advantage of the golf course. But Paul Casey was not a surprise. That guy has been a top end player for a long time and very fit for a guy who's in his low to mid 40s.
Now, Marty, final question for you. I know that day one is over, and by the time this airs, day two as well will be. But did you have maybe 1 or 2 guys going into the Masters that you were, hoping to do well?
Yeah, I'll stick with my pick there. I'm in a couple Masters pools, and Xander Schauffele was the guy that I picked to win. Someone who's always in contention in major championships, just hasn't broke through yet. But every big tournament, he's right there with a chance to win. And the other player that I'm looking forward to seeing hopefully break through at the Masters is Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, I actually had Xander Schauffele as well in my list, as well as John Rahm, especially after what he did in that practice round on 16, getting the hole-in-one. That's always nice to see. Marty, it's a pleasure getting to have you on, and it's a pleasure getting to watch golf this weekend.
Thanks for having me, and enjoy the Masters.